Welcome, everyone, to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a universally accepted, absolutely beautiful sounding concept and, well, we're going to completely flip it on its head. You know, from a super young age, we've all been taught that total selflessness is the ultimate virtue. But today, we're diving into a deeply practical philosophy. We're looking at the idea that you actually need to stop helping others right up until you fill your own bucket.
I mean, we hear this message literally everywhere, right? Help others whenever you can. And honestly, it sounds incredibly noble. It's totally ingrained in us as the absolute gold standard of being a good person. But let's pause for a second and just interrupt that pattern. Is giving away every single ounce of your energy, your time, and your resources really the best way to help the world? Or is it actually just a fast track to total burnout?
So here is the million-dollar question. What if helping others without first helping yourself is actually the biggest mistake you can make? The core premise we're drawing from our source material today is that self-growth is not selfish. Actually, scratch that. It's more than just not selfish. It is the mandatory, non-negotiable foundation of any real meaningful contribution. You just can't skip your own personal development and still expect to be a lasting force for good.
To really get this, just picture this scenario for a second. Imagine you're walking around carrying a completely empty bucket, and you come across someone who is desperately thirsty. You really want to give them water. But, can you? No, you can't. It is a physical impossibility to pour water from an empty bucket. You simply cannot give what you do not have.
Let's apply this to some everyday, real-world situations. Let's say you desperately want to donate food to the hungry. But if your own kitchen is completely bare, what can you actually donate? Nothing. Now imagine you want to teach someone a valuable trade so they can earn a living. But you haven't actually taken the time to learn that trade yourself. So what are you going to teach them? Nothing. If you continuously ignore your own stability in the name of just helping everyone else, you leave yourself with absolutely nothing of value to offer.
See, there is a massive difference between wanting to help and actually being able to help. Don't get me wrong, good intentions are great. They inspire empathy, they make people feel heard. But capability is what actually transforms people. A lot of folks have incredible intentions, but because they haven't developed their own resources, they can't really fix the problem. Good intentions are the spark, for sure, but your capability is the engine that actually drives the change.
Now, I can hear some of you right now. I know what you might be thinking. When you start focusing on yourself, studying late, hitting the gym, really climbing that career ladder, a little bit of guilt creeps in. You might ask yourself, does focusing on my career and my health make me selfish? And it's a totally valid emotion because society so often labels self-interest as greed. But today, we're going to dismantle that guilt entirely.
To get rid of that guilt for good, just think about the classic airplane emergency rule. You know the one, wear your oxygen mask first. Flight attendants don't say that because they think you're the most important VIP on the plane. They say it out of pure logical survival. If the cabin pressure drops and you frantically try to help your neighbor before securing your own mask, well, you're both going to pass out. You won't save anyone, you'll literally just add to the casualty list. And life works the exact same way.
Let's break this down with a really powerful story. Imagine two hungry beggars meeting on the street. They can absolutely empathize with each other, but can one truly solve the other's problem? No, right? They both need help. But imagine one of them goes away, focuses relentlessly on learning, works incredibly hard, builds a small business, and finally achieves stability. Years later, he returns. Now he isn't just offering sympathy. He can provide actual food. He can provide jobs. The difference in his ability to help wasn't that his kindness magically increased over the years. The difference was that his capacity increased.
Okay, so how exactly do we go about building this capacity? Well, our source material breaks this down into 5 specific buckets that you absolutely have to fill. First up, knowledge. You've got to read, learn, and gain experience. Second is health. Honestly, without it, success is practically impossible, so exercise and get some sleep. Third, finances. Look, money isn't everything, but financial stability massively increases your practical ability to help others. Fourth is character. People need to trust your integrity before they'll ever take your advice. And finally, emotional strength. Because someone who can't manage their own stress can never be a steady guide for someone else navigating a storm.
When you look at it this way, this framework totally forces us to redefine what help actually looks like. We so often default to thinking it just means handing out cash. But true help is so much bigger than that. Sharing your hard-earned knowledge, that's help. Giving someone an opportunity, that is help.
Even simply listening to someone and motivating them is a huge form of help. But to be a true source of empowerment, like creating jobs or solving complex problems, you have to become a highly capable person first.
And that brings us to a really critical warning. This is the biggest misunderstanding out there. There are just so many chronic people pleasers frantically trying to save everyone around them. They mean well, they really do. But because they skip that first crucial step of self-improvement, what happens? It just leads to profound frustration. They burn out, they get bitter, and ultimately they have absolutely nothing left to give. Helping yourself isn't the opposite of helping others, it's the prerequisite. To really cement this idea, just look at how capacity works in the natural world. It's pretty amazing. A tree can only provide cooling shade because it first took the time and energy to grow incredibly strong roots. A lamp can only illuminate a dark room because it's already been filled with oil. A well can only quench a whole village's thirst because it was first filled up by the rain. And you are no different. You can only pour out your energy, your time, and your wisdom to the world after your own bucket is full.
I want you to always remember this quote. The world doesn't need people with empty promises. It needs people with full buckets who can create real impact. That just reframes personal development entirely, doesn't it? It completely elevates things like self-care and financial literacy from feeling like selfish pursuits into absolute noble necessities. The absolute greatest service you can do for the world is to become so relentlessly strong and capable that your overflow just naturally lifts up everyone around you.
So I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. If you truly want to be a source of hope for all the empty buckets around you, you have to start with yourself. It is time to stop apologizing for investing in your own knowledge, your health, and your skills. So will you make that commitment today? Drop a comment below and just write, "Today I start filling my bucket," if you're ready to make that shift. Also, make sure to share this explainer with someone in your life who is always sacrificing themselves for others. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep learning, keep growing, and when your bucket is finally full, go out there and generously help the world.